Well, here's my first headline that I have for everyone, please. And this is quite the headline here. Netflix is planning a Barney and Betty Hill UFO movie adaptation.
That's some good news on that front.
It is. Netflix is getting in on the UFO phenomenon and media rush. For a while, this was like Discovery Plus and Showtime doing pouring some money into the UFO phenomenon. But now Netflix is getting on board with this, and there's more to this. The iconic UFO incident is set to become a movie courtesy of Netflix and the Obama's production company. The Obamas are getting in on this.
Right. Obama is a long-legged Mac Daddy.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Yeah. Says that on his business card.
It's been a while since I had to play that drop, but
Barack Hussein Obama.
Written by duo Becky Lay and Mario Cupertino. The new movie, which will be entitled White Mountains, is being developed by Higher Grounds Production, the production company of Barack and Michelle Obama.
Obama is a long-legged Mac Daddy.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
Little else is known about the movie at the present time. No casting has been announced, and it doesn't look as though it will even go into production until sometime in 2023. As it stands, the most likely release date for this film will be 2024. A brief synopsis reads, after an interracial couple in the 1960s has a horrifying encounter with a UFO, they set out to discover if it actually happened, or if it's just a case of madness, delusions of the two people. The story of what happened to the Hills remains one of the most iconic in all of ufology. The couple had been driving home from vacation to Niagara Falls in September of 1961 when the incident happened. Now, they were vacationing in Quebec for some reason. Maybe that was a hot vacation spot at the time in the 60s. But around 10:30 p.m. that evening, Betty spotted a strange bright light in the sky. As they drove along, it seemed to change size and move erratically, prompting them to stop at the roadside and take a closer look through binoculars. Now, what they're not saying here is that Barney, the guy, he had a pistol with him because he was very concerned about bears. So he got out of the car, pistol in one hand, binocular in the other. So he was locked and loaded, ready to do damage if he needed to. So initially, Barney, according to this article, Barney believed it to be an airliner until suddenly it changed direction, leading him to conclude it was definitely not a plane. Unnerved, the couple got back in their car and resumed their journey home. Things would soon take a sinister turn, however, when the object moved closer to their car and seemed to be following them as they drove a long stretch of road. So also what they're not saying here. And so initially when they're driving, this thing landed down about 100 feet in the car. Barney got out of the car, pistol in one hand, binoculars in the other. He looked through the binoculars and he saw 10 humanoid figures staring back at him about 100 feet away. And he was like, oh, this is kind of weird. They look kind of goofy. They look kind of alien, humanoid. But then he got a telepathic message from one of the humanoids saying, basically, stay right there. We're coming down. This kind of freaked out Barney. He got in the car, and they had the feeling that nothing's good is going to happen right here. The object started to move closer toward them, and that's when they hightailed it out of there. Then they started speeding away, and this object gave chase and hovered over top of Betty and Barney Hill, at which point in time they experienced almost like a different state of consciousness. The only way they could kind of convey it is like their state of mind was altered. They arrived home at dawn, and they had these weird compulsions when they got home, Barney stated that he had this compulsion to go to the bathroom and look at his genitals. So that's what he did. As soon as he got home, he had to go to the bathroom, like ASAP.
Check.
People are flushing toilets 10 times, 15 times.
What's he checking for? He's got like scabies or something.
He just had,
Space crabs.
he just had the feeling that during they experienced some sort of missing time, and because they were it was 10:30 when this event happened. They weren't that far away from home, but they arrived home in the dawn or during dawn. And so they had a period of time that they just couldn't account for. During that time, he thought someone was probably looking at his junk, playing with his junk. Something was going on with the junk.
Penis man.
And he wanted to see, maybe they gave him a tattoo, maybe they gave him a shaving, they shaved him down a little bit. Or maybe they extracted some life seed from him. He didn't know. He just knew that something was going on. Something was wrong. So this is back. I'm giving my own expanded account of this abduction that is not included in this article here. So back to the article. Eventually, the UFO turned and descended towards them, forcing Barney to hit the brakes to avoid collision. He got out of the car with binoculars for a second time. He was certain he could see a number of humanoid figures looking back at him. He later claimed that they had been wearing black uniforms and caps. Terrified, the couple got back in the car, attempted to flee. However, they moved directly over them, producing a series of beeping and buzzing sounds. And the buzzing sound is often a common sound that's heard by people in close proximity to UFOs. They then experienced a period of missing time, after which they became aware that they had traveled some 35 miles along the road without recalling their journey. Upon finally arriving home, the couple found physical signs that something had happened to them, such as strange marks on their car and damage to their clothes. Later, under hypnosis, the couple recalled having been taken aboard an alien spacecraft and subjected to medical examinations. With both Betty and Barney Hill now deceased, however, we may never know for sure what truly happened to them. Well, yeah, I mean, we do. We have their stories. We have their hypnotic regressions. You can take it at face value or not, but what is, I guess, interesting at that time period during the 60s, I mean, this was an interracial couple. It didn't often happen. They certainly probably didn't want to even have media exposure at that time. So something did happen to them. Now, whether or not it was an alien abduction, I guess that's up for debate. I tend to believe their story. And their story... Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just said, duh.
Yeah, I'm a believer.
You believe it?
I'm a believer. Something happened to them. So what happened to them, according to them, they were abducted. They were taken up into this craft by these strange humanoids. They all kind of looked similar. Betty and Barney were separated, which distressed Betty. But then she was taken to a room, and this other humanoid came to the room, which she called the Examiner. And the Examiner exuded this kind of calm, pleasant personality, and so she wasn't immediately off-put by him. The Examiner told Betty that he was going to conduct a quick exam of her and that it'll be all over fairly quickly. So put her down on the chair. They clipped some of Betty's hair, put that in like a little jar and said, okay. And then they opened up her mouth and they tried to remove some teeth from her. And it wasn't working. They're like, what the hell's going on here? And they asked, like, why can't we remove your teeth?
Give me them chompers.
Yeah, give me that. And she said, no, they don't come out that easy. It's like, well, your husband's came out real easy. And they're like, well, because he has dentures. And they're like, oh, okay. Then they use like a syringe. And
it's a commercial for Fixodent.
Yeah, something like. Yeah.
Thanks, Fixodent. Thanks to you, I still have my teeth from those damn aliens.
They took a syringe out. They extracted some fluid, and she got the impression they were overall giving her a kind of like a reproductive examination. They were very interested in her reproductive health, and they were testing her nervous system. So it's just an overall kind of like a more thorough physical that you might get on like a yearly basis. He was wearing gloves at the time, so he was being very cleanly, and they were seemingly having a fairly pleasant interaction during this examination. Betty was like, "This is unbelievable, this entire encounter. Could I take something from your craft with me in order to prove my experience?" And the examiner's like, "Sure, take this book." Gave her a book. She opened it up, and it was just filled with these weird symbols that she really couldn't reconcile. She didn't know what it meant, but she knew this book, pretty darn important. She continued on with the conversation with this guy and asked the examiner, "Hey, where are you from?" And so he brought up basically like a star map. And he's like, "Well, we're over from this area." And she's like, "I don't know where that's at." And then the examiner said, "Well, can you point to Earth on this map?" And she's like, "No, I can't." And then he basically said, "Well, then you're useless and you can't read the map. And it's pointless for me to tell you where we're from because you have no idea where you're at on this map." And she's like, "Okay."
Wait, I got a quick question on that logic. Isn't the first thing you do on a map is look for a common point of reference?
Yeah, like a legend and like something like that. And apparently it didn't get to that point. Like she couldn't remember, but they didn't have a common point of reference on that map, which seems kind of, yeah, you're right, kind of out of leaps and bounds when you're trying to communicate with somebody. So they had this interaction back and forth. Then the rest of the guys came back in, the rest of the humanoids, and they took the book from her. And she's like, "Oh, hey, that's my book." And they're like, "No, you're not taking this book with you. We don't need this kind of headache." And she's like, "Well, no one's going to believe me about the experience unless I have some proof." And they said, "We don't care. We're taking the book. You're not taking this book." And so they got done with the examinations of Barney and Betty. They dropped them off at their car. They didn't drop them off like 10 feet above the ground or anything like that. They dropped them off at the car, and the couple watched the UFO zip away. At which point in time, they got back in their car, went home, and then that's when Barney went into the bathroom to look at his junk, because that period of time in which they were abducted, that memory was wiped, and it only started to come out when they started having nightmares over the next few weeks, when they knew something was amiss. And that's when they went to hypnotic regression, and some of their memories started to come back. Now, if the Obamas can include all that stuff in the movie, cool. I have a feeling that they're not. But,
especially the junk inspection.
Yeah, I want to focus on that. I think the whole movie should kind of revolve around that.
Is this a movie or like a Netflix series? Because they always do those series of like 8 or 10 episodes. So maybe like 2 full episodes on the junk inspection.
Well, they said that there is going to be a movie, a new movie entitled White Mountains. So I guess they could make it into like a short series, maybe a 5-part series. But I'm kind of curious in how they're going to depict the aliens. Are they going to have the black suits, which is fairly typical, or some kind of diving suit that these humanoids wear? Or are they going to look like the typical gray alien?
They also have the one arm was jacked up, like the story from, I can't remember the other.
The elk hunter story? No,
yeah,
nothing like that. They the description is fairly nondescript. They just come as humanoid, at least in some of the stuff that I'm reading. The size is smallish, and they mostly focus on like what they're wearing, not necessarily like their descriptions. But I'll track down the descriptions, and then we'll compare and contrast once the movie is released in a few years. So,
yeah, they give a release date for that?
2024.
It's not too far off.
Yeah. It'll be here before you know it. And then I guess got one more.
Here's a question, though.
Oh, yeah.
Real quick on this. So Netflix is notorious for, let's say, diversifying their cast and crew. So I'm assuming that in this case, the both actors, Mr. and Mrs. Hill, will be played by transgender lesbians, perhaps.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming that's why the Obamas picked this event is because it was an interracial couple.
Yeah,
So,
I guarantee that was what caught their ears. So whether or not it's an interesting story or not, but that was the hook that somebody used when they pitched the idea.
Exactly. They wanted to. They knew UFOs are a hot topic. Let's get something more, I guess, in line with what they want to talk about. So it's the best of both worlds for them. I don't know if Obama's as fascinated with UFOs as like the Clintons. He seemed to kind of be disinterested for the most part. So he's looked like he's jumping on the bandwagon. They got a production company. They got to pump out some movies. So why not some UFO BS? Not that the story's BS, but I just don't believe Obama cares that much about the topic.
All he has to do is put his name on it, and he'll just make money.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they have a contract with the Netflix, and that's it. Okay. Well, we'll move on here. I got one more. Oh, do you want to know why Barney was concerned about his genitals, Joe?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I think that's the only question.
Okay. So why he was so concerned with his genitals and why he felt as though they were being messed with. When he was abducted, he says 3 short men undressed him. They basically threw him on an exam table, and then they put like a cup-like device over his genitals. And he had weird sensations. He felt as though semen was being extracted, but he didn't orgasm. So they had some kind of device that would milk him. He was being milked by the aliens, but he wasn't experiencing any of the pleasure. And then he felt
that is such a bogus deal.
I know. Like, at least if you're going to do it, like, let's have a good time. And then they stuck a tube up, a wider tube, possibly a cylinder, up his rear end, too.
Now they're just having fun. Like, tell them you need the tube.
And then peripherally, then he said he felt someone messing with his spine. But he was more concerned about his penis and his anus being probed. So that's what happened there. That's why when he got home, he's like, I don't know, something's going on down there. I got to take a closer look.
One of the aliens to the other one said, hey, see if these 2 holes connect. Just put one in it, one in the other, and run stuff through it.
If they didn't know humans have like dentures and fake teeth, they just seem like maybe they're making that up. You know, it's like you'd imagine like they've been visiting Earth for a while, and maybe they have run across fake teeth, false teeth at that point in time, but maybe not. I'm not sure when dentures became popular. This account took place in 1961.
Famously, George Washington had they were not wooden teeth. He had teeth carved of ivory, but he had fake teeth. So for hundreds of years.
Yeah. But I'll move on. I got one more interesting little story for everyone out there. I'll bring this up on screen, please. Yes.
Oh, here's your quick answer. The Etruscans, as early as 7th century BC, made partial dentures out of human or other animal teeth fastened together with gold bands.
So they had a grill.
Yes, they were like, check this out.
They were sporting grills back then. Huh. All right.
Goes back to 700 BC.
Yeah.
Bad boy.
Well, I got a headline here for everyone out there. The theory that claims we visit other dimensions when we sleep.
I love that headline.
I think this has been a common kind of just thought.
Yeah, what do you call this? A dream journey, dream walking?
Yeah.
There's a lot of these sort of things.
Yeah, I'll read that.
Remote viewing's even kind of part of this, isn't it?
Yeah,
you set someone deep enough into their subconscious, and they can see all sorts of stuff.
I think it's for remote viewing. You want to get into that twilight state in between awake and sleep, and in that twilight state is that's the zone. That's where you want to be if you're going to do remote viewing.
Zone.
That's where you want to be. If you're going
He's in the zone.
If you're going to leave your body, remote view, do any kind of weird mind stuff, you got to be in the zone. But here, we'll read a little bit of this. Dreaming is a mysterious subject, continuously studied to give us insight into how we dream and what those dreams mean in relation to our waking lives. That's a weird sentence, isn't it? Okay. There are some that believe our dream world is just as important as real life, but that dreams are much more than figments of our imagination. In fact, some believe our dreams are parallel universes, alternate realities waiting to be discovered by some of us as we sleep. Dreams are like an out-of-body experience that is best remembered if you awake from an REM, rapid eye movement state. REM sleep happens about 90 minutes after we first fall asleep. It is a state where your heart rate increases, your blood pressure rises, and your breathing is shallow. Boy, I didn't realize your heart rate increases like that.
I don't think all that's true.
Yeah,
I don't know enough to dispute it, but that doesn't sound right.
Yeah. It's the closest you can get to awake without actually being awake. Your body is in a paralyzed state while your eyes dart around and your mind is active and likely dreaming. The quick movements of the eyes represent looking around at all the new and exciting things your mind is producing. Science continues to try to understand where we go in our sleep and the impact it has on our waking lives. When you're experiencing REM sleep, there is a connection between your physical reality and the dream world, giving you access to the details to both. So do we visit other dimensions when we sleep? We disregard our dreams because they are over when we wake up. But is the fact that the experience is temporarily a good reason to dismiss it? Everything in our day-to-day life is considered real, although that experience is also temporary, ending when we die. Dreams are no different. They too are real experiences to be thoroughly considered. Also, when you dream, like it's not often you remember your experiences from real life here. Like I can't tell you like how many times like I've had like a dream where I should have had a memory like, oh, I know how to do that. You know, or I remember this in real life. I'm not scared of this because I've dealt with this before in real life. I shouldn't be in this situation in my dream world. But it seems like you don't often have that translation from real world experience to dream world. They're like separate lives. The only commonality seems to be somewhat of your personality and some experiences here and there.
So in this scenario where it's not just dreams, but you're traveling or visiting alternate dimensions, are you lucid, or is this like things happening in your subconscious you don't recognize until later?
I don't know. It depends, like on a dream, because not all dreams are created equal. Like oftentimes, if I'm in a dream,
that's racist, sir,
and I have to run, like if I have to run in a dream, it's almost like I am moving through like fluid. Like everything's kind of dense and floaty, and the only way I can run in a dream is to get on all fours and grab the ground and pull myself. Like I run like a dog almost. We have to.
I have that same feeling when I have to run in dreams. It's like I'm running through water, like I'm running in a swimming pool.
Why? So I'd like to know why that is. Like, how can we all have the same kind of shared running experience in dreams where it's all floaty? Like you would imagine there would be some people that know I can run quite normally, if not faster, in my dream state. But I've heard that over and over again. Everyone does have that floaty dimension where I gotta get on all fours and run like a dog.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I'm run like a dog, the dirty dog that I am. What dimensions can we travel to when we dream? The fifth dimension is the one where the world slightly differs from what we know. This dimension gives us a way of measuring the similarities between our world in the other ones that may exist. This is considered a micro dimension instead of a complete dimension. It came about as a way of connecting all fundamental forces in the universe. The sixth dimension, for anybody who doesn't know, okay?
Don't believe the 5.6.
Is this the sixth dimension? You got to round up. The sixth dimension consists of a straight line of possible worlds. Here, you get the opportunity to access all other possible worlds that started with the same original conditions, like the Big Bang Theory. Well, it sounds like with the sixth dimension, you're viewing all these simulated possibilities. Like you're kind of like above it. You're like almost like at the admin level, and you're like, oh, I want to go to that one. Although I don't seem to get a choice in my dreams of which version of reality I want to visit. I just get popped in there, and I got to deal with it. This sixth dimension is known as phase space in a set of parallel universes where everything that could have happened in our past lives but did not occurred in some other universe. The sixth dimension exists in the same space and time as the one we occupy, an overlay of our universe, or a 3D space containing every possible world. Okay. The seventh dimension, if you can imagine that. The seventh dimension, we can access all possible worlds no matter of the initial conditions. For the fifth and sixth dimensions, they start out the same as our world, but having variant subsequent actions. The seventh dimension is totally different from all others, going back billions of years to the beginning of time. Everything is different in the seventh dimension. So it's completely crazy, which I've experienced that. So I've had this amazing dream. Like it did not seem, I wasn't like in some weird earth or something like that. I was literally like just floating in the clouds, and I was like riding this weird half pipe, like just floating up and down the half pipes, playing with musical notes as I was riding up and down this thing. And it didn't seem like it was connected at all to anything I would experience in either like any of the normal worlds. It was something completely unique and to that experience. So I was probably in the seventh dimension there. Invented something like a fun musical half pipe for myself. God, I missed that one. I wish I could go back there.
Was it still like walking around in water?
Not so. It was floaty, but I was in control. I was just having fun riding this half pipe, making music. It was weird. There are so many different dimensions here. There's like the eighth dimension, which is infinite possibilities. The ninth dimension, where all possible universes, histories, and possible actions can be compared to note the differences. And then the final dimension, the 10th dimension here.
I love that movie.
This is the place where anything and everything is absolutely possible. Anything you can imagine can happen here. The 10th dimension is the end all be all. It is the epitome of what us mortals can concoct in our minds.
Epitome. But you're describing
the epitome. The epitome. The epitome. Jesus Christ.
How could you have done this?
The epitome.
You're describing Zombocom. Remember Zombocom?
What's Zombocom?
You don't remember Zombocom?
No.
Where everything is possible?
Zombocom.
You don't, oh man, there's like a thing from the 90s and the early days of the internet. I think it's still around, zombo.com. Anyway, just your description of the 10th dimension was exactly the way that Zombocom describes itself.
Well, what they're describing here with these different dream states is not unlike the theory of the multiverse, where we live next to an infinite number of parallel universes and dimensions. It's kind of like that movie, Everything All at Once, where they have technology in that movie to port over the best aspects of yourself from other dimensions. So, like, I'm not a karate fighter in this universe, but some other universe out there, some other parallel universe, there's a version of Midnight Mike that is a 10th degree black belt, just like Steven Seagal, and I need those skills right now.
Yeah, I was like, yes, you got to go there. Got to go to Steven. You're eating carrots all day long.
Yeah.
And doing lazy demonstrations in Russia.
Yeah. Well, someone's got to do it, you know.
Anybody see Richie? Fuck you.
Fuck you.
But I like these. I mean, hopefully there will be technology one day that we will be able to record our dreams. Then you can watch them back. Like, that would be fascinating if we could do that. It might be kind of scary, though. Like, Joe, have you ever had a dream that has stuck with you for years or decades, something that you will always remember?
Yeah, I've had a couple. A lot of them involve my dogs getting into severe peril. Ripley, like, she used to run away a lot, and I had a dream that she ran so far beyond like a decline in the landscape that she ended up falling down a cliff. And it's like, these kinds of dreams just mortify.
Yeah.
me. I had a dream, I know when I was pretty young, I think it was in my early 20s. I had a dream that I was on some sort of a water slide and I fell off the side, which I guess has happened, where people, like, they're going up and down and sliding back and forth on the water slide and then they shoot out. I'm pretty sure that's happened. It had to have. But then, I'm like floating. I did have flying dreams before, but yeah, and a lot of times I have those succubus dreams or whatever they're called.
I've had those.
Where it snaps you out of your sleep because you're in some, situation where a lot of times it's falling or getting hit by a car or whatever, and you just snap right awake.
I had a succubus dream where I thought it was my wife. And so we were, getting a little frisky, having a little fun in the dream world. And then it morphed into this like blue creature. And I was like, whoa, you're definitely not my wife. And it started laughing at me. And I became aware that I was kind of like in a dream state. And it was kind of like dancing around, kind of laughing at me. Like it fooled me in some way. And then I said, okay, how about this? And I was like, I put forward my hands like I was going to blast it with like some lasers or like rays. Like I envisioned like rays coming out of my hand to blast it, because I was in a dream world. I could do this, but nothing happened. And it started laughing at me even more, like mocking me, like, you can't shoot lasers out of your hands. And then I got real pissed. So I kicked it right between the legs and it just like flew away into the atmosphere. And then I woke up. Bizarre.
All right.
Bizarre stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But that has happened to me quite a bit where I kind of aware I'm in like a dream state and I try to use like some kind of superpower, but nothing happens. I thought I had...
That's just called reality, Mike.
Yeah, I thought I had special powers.
Wrong.
There we go.
Booski in the chat suggests that in your alternate dimension, you're known as 11:45 p.m., Mike.
That's probably true. But there we go. Dream reality. Who knows? I think there's something to it, though. I think you do live different lives in your dreams because oftentimes I will pick back up like a dream, kind of where I left it off. Like I have it feels sometimes like I am on different missions when I go to sleep and I have a dream. Like I have tasks that I have to do. Like I'm going to work at like another job and I have these series of missions that I have to complete. And then I wake up and do this life here, pay the bills in order to go back to sleep and like work again somewhere. And occasionally...
Maybe you just have two jobs.
It may be. Occasionally, I get to have one of those really good dreams where I'm on like a musical half pipe and I can go on vacation for a little bit. But a lot of time, it feels like work.
Or you're getting finger banged by blue aliens with laser hands.
Yeah, maybe.
I always wonder, I mean, this is it's beyond not an original question, but dogs. You know what I mean? They're kicking and they're yelping. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they... what the hell's going on there? Squirrels?
I think so. My dog, my dear Bogey, he dreams like every night. He's like one of the most active dog dreamers that I've ever encountered. And I think he's happy because I see him kind of grin sometimes and smiling. He's panting, like kind of wagging his tail. I think he's chasing rabbits and squirrels and things like that. And occasionally he might have like some kind of nightmare, some kind of weird thing. And he'll be so active sometimes he'll like bark in his dream state and wake himself up. So it's very cute. But the dogs dream. Like I would imagine any creature that dreams has a soul, has a consciousness, and is very special. Love to see a dog dream.
You guys seen the video? I put the GIF up for it right now, but you seen the video of the dog dreaming and it wakes up?
Is that the one on the screen right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. Oh my God, that poor little dog was having a dream. It woke up and ran into a wall.
Nuts.
That's crazy.
That is a very active dreamer. That has no problem
The dog.
running through a pool.
So for people listening at home, the dog is.
I'll put it in Carrot Shop if you want to run the actual video. There's a YouTube video.
It's a dog laying on its side and is running, like trying to run full speed, and then it gets up onto its legs, still sleeping, and then runs right into the wall. Poor guy. Probably chasing the cat.
This is a classic one from like 20 plus years ago. But yeah, the audio of this, if you run the video, you can hear the dog like chomping a little bit, and it stands up and just charges right into the wall.
I would say this: the dogs, they do dream much like us, but they don't have access to Dimension 10. I think they're stuck down in like Dimension 4 or 5. You know?
Yep.
They're relegated down there. They can't get to Dimension 10 just yet. I can only go there occasionally. You know? It's loading up. I want to hear this dog. I'll see if I can pump up this volume for this. I'm sure it's very cute. There it is. It's running. It's running. There it goes.
It looks like it's nipping at behind it.
Yeah,
like it's being chased.
Maybe like it's being chased by something. Yeah.
Give us an email at ourbigdumbmouth@gmail.com. Check out obdmpod.com for all the social media and donation links.